Hello and welcome to an episode of Historically Marked. I am Jason in Peoria, Illinois, kind of in the northern part of the city, but this is one of those behind the song episodes, like what inspired a song. Dan Fogelberg. Now I'm sure that's probably a name you haven't heard in ages. Maybe you listen to the radio, maybe you have some of his records, and maybe you haven't heard one of his songs in a long time. Now, I do like Dan Fogelberg. I mean, I can't really say I'm a big fan. I've never seen him live when he was alive, but I do like a few of his songs, like Longer, that was played at my sister's wedding. The Power of Gold, to me that's a pure yacht rock song if I ever hear one. But another one of my favorites is Same Old Lang Syne. Now, it's not the Guy Lombardo New Year's version that some of us have heard or remember, but this is a song that was a top 10 smash in the year 1980, and it was actually based on a true story. Dan Fogelberg wrote about a time that happened actually 50 years ago. I'll explain more about that, almost exactly, where he met his old lover at a grocery store, like kind of stumbled into her. And the grocery store that I'm talking about is right behind me. It actually used to be a grocery store, but now it's a liquor store and a couple other, it's a small strip mall. But I'm going to go ahead and explain and tell the story. Here we go. Dan Fogelberg was born and raised in Peoria. He attended Woodruff High School, which is nearby this place. So this is Woodruff High School, or was Woodruff High School. It is now a vocational school. Like there's a cosmetology place in here, among other things. But this is where Dan Fogelberg and his lover went to school. He graduated in 1969. I'm going to take you to the front entrance real quick. Alright, this is not the main entrance because there's a sign over there that says main entrance right over there. But yeah, this is your typical high school entrance, old school. And I don't know if you can tell, but it says Woodruff High School up there, so little ghost signage, I should say. Here's a little trivia. Dan's father led the school's band from 1945 to 1955, providing the inspiration for Dan Fogelberg's hit song, Leader of the Band. While attending the school, he was in an off-again, on-again relationship with a woman named Jill Anderson. The two attended different colleges. Dan spent a short time at the University of Illinois in Champaign. Jill attended somewhere in Chicago to study elementary education. On Christmas Eve 1975, both Dan and Jill were in town to visit their families. Dan offered to go to the store and buy some whipped cream for some Irish coffee. Jill went out to buy some eggnog. Of course, this was a last-minute thing, as stores and bars were closing early, and this was the place that they reunited on that day, 50 years ago. According to Jill, the liquor that was drank was Olympia, and it was outside their cars in this lot. The story was transitioned to song lyrics, and Same Old Lang Syne was released as a single from the Innocent Age album. It came out in November 1980, and it peaked at number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100. To this day, it is somewhat considered a Christmas song, as some radio stations play it around the holidays. Upon hearing it on the radio at that time, Jill, who married her second husband, having divorced the guy known as the architect in the song, kept her ties to the song secret. She knew exactly what Dan was talking about, of course. She reunited with Dan again backstage at one of his concerts a few years later, and he confirmed it. It wasn't until after Dan's passing in December 2007 that Jill, who was now known as Jill Grulich, revealed publicly that the song was about an actual meeting between her and Dan. There were a couple inaccuracies in the song, one being that her husband was a physical education teacher, not an architect, and her eyes were green, not blue. She has said in interviews that people come up to her and relate well to the song. And lastly, while I'm here in Peoria, I might as well visit the Dan Fogelberg Memorial, which is in Riverfront Park, north of downtown. There's lots to see, but I came here mostly for this. I'm going to start with some blocks here, and yes, that is the Illinois River in front of me. It's interesting that a lot of it is iced over. I mean, you can see ducks walking on there. But here is one of the rocks that says the lyrics to Part of the Plan, which was off his first album, Souvenirs. That was also a hit for Mr. Fogelberg as well. The center one are lyrics from his song that came out in 2003, From Icarus Ascending. If anybody wants to pause and read that. And lastly, dedicated to the memory, actually not lastly, but I got one more thing to show you. Dedicated to the legacy of Dan Fogelberg, musician, singer, songwriter, artist. Born in Peoria, August 13th, 1951. Lived from 1951 to 2007. To every man, the mystery sings a different song. He fills his page of history, his dreams, and is gone. That's from his 1993 song, River of Souls. Very, very touching. And then over here is a bench that anyone can sit on. I never got into the music to be the latest, greatest thing. I'm a musician because that is what I am. I will create music the way I want to, whether a million people are listening or no one is listening. That's not the point of creating music. The point is following your own creative instincts. And that is from Dan Fogelberg. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Historically Mart. I am Jason in this Dan Fogelberg tribute episode in honor of his classic song, Same Old Lang Syne. I am at the memorial on the Riverfront Park in Peoria, Illinois. Rest in peace. Your music will always be a legacy and never forgotten. With all the great work that he put out during his lifetime, his short lifetime. But I'm Jason, signing off.